Hello everyone and welcome to a new video on my channel. I'm Adam and this is Battle of the Beasts All Generation episode number 95. We're almost there at battle number 100 and I am looking forward to it. However, it won't mean it's the end of round 2. It will just mean, hey, we're at battle number 100 of this series. 100 battles nearly of this tournament and we've barely got over halfway through it. That's saying something. This is a very long tournament. So I've got two more beasts fighting out for a spot in round 3, and let's introduce them. So, representing Series 13, the Warrior's Road, the killer of Raptex, the Sky Hunter in round 1, we have Slivka, the Cold-Hearted Curse. And representing Series 17, the Broken Star, the Destroyer of Arachnid, the King of Spiders. In round 1, it is Okko, the Sand Monster. So, we got Slivka versus Okko. Interesting matchup, if you ask me. And I say interesting because this was a very brutal killer. And this is Lucas's favourite of Series 17, I believe. And if it is, then I know who he's rooting for. So, yeah, what we're going to do, we're going to go straight to the stats. And then we'll get underway with the battle. So we start with Slivka. Slivka dwells in the jungle, sliding between trees and shooting from the undergrowth in a flash. This giant lizard's muscular body is covered in blue scales. His tail can smash down trees and his wide head is crested with jutting horns. Slivka can rise up on two rear legs, slashing with his claws, or whip out his long tongue to snatch his victims and draw them towards his sharp teeth. Not bad. Abilities: natural weaponry with the sharp claws and teeth and his tongue and his tail and horns. Natural armor and heat resistance. And resurrection, which is banned from the tournament. Weaknesses: he's a bad climber. Oh, that's a shame, isn't it? So, here we are. Go to Okko now. The desert people of Gwildor's borderlands make offerings to this good beast, formed from writhing, choking sand. He guards one of the fragments of the precious broken star, which he will yield only upon being defeated by a heroic warrior. And something I will say before I get into the abilities here. Like Thoron, Okko needs to have a weakness apart from the weakness he already has, needs to have a weakness to try and level out the playing field, let's say. And if people get annoyed by it, I apologize, but we want at least some chance that some other beasts are going to win. Okko didn't need to worry about that weakness back in the New Generation tournament because he died in round 1. I don't know if I said it when he went against Arachnid, but it's now in effect now. So, yeah. Ability and the weakness is going to be the same as Thoron, with the orb in the center. And if the orb breaks, he dies. If the orb is moved from him, he goes wild and everywhere. Abilities: Sand Breath, Reformation, Deformation, Body Control, Sand Camouflage, Elasticity, Constriction, and Enhanced Durability. And weaknesses: Hardened by Water. So with that's the stats done. And now let's get into the fight. Battlefield is going to be a rocky terrain as always. So as the chamber doors open, Slivka makes his way out, scanning the arena, ready to see his next victim. And he looks over to see the other chamber opposite him open and just have some sand rolling out. He's confused by this, but doesn't waver in nerves. As the sand's rolling out, Slivka notices it's becoming more frequent in the amount, and suddenly an entire sandstorm bursts right through that chamber. Slivka covers her face as the sand brushes right past her. She could feel the sand just piercing at her, but not damaging her. Him, sorry. I always thought Slivka was a her, but yeah. Yeah, I always thought Slivka was a female, but according to the book, is a male, so uh, can't argue with that. But yeah. And as Slivka turns around, he's greeted by Okko in his in his formed human form, ready in a fist and full on uppercut Slivka, knocking him back. He gets back up, growls at Okko, charges up towards it, and goes to slash right at Okko. Okko deforms to where the slash goes right through, and Slivka charges right through Okko, and Slivka goes right through Okko. Okko manipulated the orb to go up above Slivka, and when Slivka turns around, he gets a glimpse of that orb and realizes that must be what he needs to go for. So he decides to start taunting Okko to come towards him, in which he does. Okko forms a sand sword in his hand, charges up towards Slivka, lifts it up, and brings it down onto him, in which Slivka is able to lift up his arm and just deflects out of his deflect the sand with his arm, causing some pain there, but not a major amount. And Slivka uppercuts Okko as a payback. Okko wasn't prepared for that and full on gets knocked back. He feels the orb getting disrupted, in which he suddenly panics, regains the orb, and deforms into a sandstorm going all the way around Okko, causing Okko to get trapped in a sandy vortex. As Slivka is scratching or attacking at every point in the sandstorm he can to try and get out of it. He can see the vortex suddenly getting smaller as Slivka can feel he's getting trapped in this vortex and getting the sand piercing at him, going into his eyes, his nose, his mouth, every orifice of his body. And he's feeling it being very piercing sharp, where he can feel himself getting cut by this. In which Slivka decides to keep his mouth shut, cover his nose, and just close his eyes and just wait for this vortex to be over. Unbeknownst to Slivka, though, whilst he's in the defensive position, Okko merges away from the vortex, sees Slivka in the defensive position, and decides he's going to have some fun with her. Or him. He makes his way underneath Okko and forms up a fist and punches Okko right up into the air. Okko gets knocked out of his defensive position, and just sees that he's now flying in the air and being swirled around in that vortex. And suddenly the vortex just stops. Okko forms up into the tallest form he can do as Slivka falls to the ground. He then lifts up his sand foot and stamps directly onto Slivka, pinning him down by his body, and then lifts up his other head and stamps right on his head. Slivka roars faintly in pain, being crushed by that much sand, and using his arms, he goes to slash at Okko, but he just sees his hand go right through it, realizing that he's trapped. Okko then reforms himself to where he's pinning Slivka down by his chest. He forms up a sand sword and a sand dagger, raises it above his head, and brings it down directly onto Slivka's middle eye. Slivka roars in pain at that immense pain that he just endured. Okko does the same thing and stabs the other eye, and then the other eye. Slivka's roaring in pain, excruciatingly loud. The audience members are starting to feel bad for this beast who tortured a griffin in his round one fight. Okko sends a thought speech to Slivka saying, "This is payback for Raptex. He may mean nothing to me, but I saw the audience reactions to this. You went over the top. And if this is a message to your teammates and any other people who had this plan to torture other beasts, this is their lesson to not mess with me or Griff." He then does the same thing that Slivka did with Raptex, forces Sand Hands into Slivka's mouth and just pull Slivka's mouth wide open, full on breaks the jaw off, and then show with what little mercy Okko has for this beast, or monster of a beast, let's say, he firmly grips onto Slivka's head and snaps it, causing Slivka's misery to end like a heart rate monitor, flatlined. So with that, Okko has won, Slivka has lost. If you think Slivka should have won, please leave in the comments below. Think about how my worst final and Okko's moving on to the next round. So, being honest, when I saw this matchup, I knew exactly who was going to win, because I cannot for the life of me think of a way that Slivka could win, even if I had that orb as a weapon for Okko to lose. But the thing is, though, I gave Okko the victory because, one, it was obvious. Two, I think I would get a lot of hate if I let Slivka win just to carry on an arc of violent beasts, which was something which Lucas didn't know about until after he did the matchups for round one. So he was never going to know that I wanted violent beasts to survive. But yeah, so off the top of my head, I decided, okay, if I had to lose one of the more violent beasts, I'm going to have the beast that kills him send a message to the other beasts saying, if you are going to be violent, you do not want to pick on me or Griff, because you will find out about it. Okko is on a defensive arc to defend Griff and get revenge on the killers of Thoron and Sorex. The killer of Sorex was Lycaxa, so good luck. And the killer of Thoron, I do not remember who it was. But whoever it was, you have a target on your back, and that's from Okko. It's gonna bug me now. I need to check who it is. I think it's Falcor, but it can't be. Is it Falcor? Yeah, I think it is Falcor. I know it's not really important, but it's now. I'm just now very curious. Yeah, it was Falcor that killed Thoron. So yeah, Falcor, watch your back. Lycaxa, watch your back. It's kind of convenient that the semi-finalists of the Special Generation Tournament and the runner-up to the New Generation Tournament have a target on their back from a beast that died in round one. But yeah, so that's a new arc that's going on in this series, because my Brutal Killers arc, most of them are dead. Well, the main ones are from Series 13, and now Koba's the last one standing of Series 13. Other Brutal Killers, the Series 26 beasts, I know at least one of them's made it still to round 3. I don't know any other Brutal Killers that I can remember. There were a few, but unfortunately, Slivka is out. Slivka was the mascot of the Brutal Killers, I'll say. But anyway, that's how the cookie crumbles. And that's how Slivka died. But until then, that's all for this time. If you like what you saw, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, press the notification bell down below, and I'll see you next time.